Hi there, citizens. This is Expressman, and today we're going to run an experiment to see if we can make more money. I am always about making as much money as I can, as fast as I can make it, so today we're going to try something a little different and see if we can maybe min-max our Vulture profits even more. So, here we go. Now, I just wanted to show you I made only 2 modifications to my Vulture. I saw the comments from my last Vulture video and took it to heart. What I ended up doing was I uninstalled the utility, right? I uninstalled the cinch scrapers. I did actually try putting the trawlers on it and did some runs with both the abrades and the trawlers. I didn't actually find the trawlers to add anything for me. If you guys have more success, I'd like to hear about it. But I just like to run abrade only. That also gets around that weird bug where it keeps switching which scraper that you're using. So by having only the abrade module, there's none of that automatic switching business. That's super annoying. That and a snazzy paint job is really all I've done to this Vulture, and I think we're ready to go. Alright, so while I do my pre-flight inspection, let me tell you what we're going to do today. I have a hypothesis that because of the amount of time it takes to sell at Orison here, or really any of those principal city TDDs, there we go, now I'm doing a flight inspection. I've wondered if it actually is more profitable minute by minute to sell in Grim Hex. Now you take a significant price hit selling at Grim Hex. You also have to deal with some of the BS that you encounter at Grim Hex. People advertising the fact that they're 12 years old through their behavior. However, saving the time of flying into an atmosphere and taking transport all the way over to the TDD, I'm wondering if the difference in price justifies the difference in time or not. So that's what I'd like to answer today. We're going to run a timer. I'm going to do roughly an hour chunk of running to Orison, and then roughly an hour chunk of running to Grim Hex. And then we're going to do a little bit of maths, maybe off screen, so I actually get them right this time. And see if maybe, perhaps, just maybe, it's more profitable to take the price hit and sell in Grim Hex than it is to sell in Orison. I honestly don't know. We're about to find out. So let's do it. Now, to try to make the variable of finding scrap fields, to try to take that out, I'm going to start both timers when I get to the scrap fields. So let's travel over to one and we will get this party started. Okay, so I'm looking for scrap debris fields, but I'd like to point out the fact that this is the largest asteroid field I've ever seen, weighing in at 23,000. Easily the largest I've ever seen. Let's get a quick visual on it. I'll bet it's not Quantanium. Yeah, it's not, but holy smokes, that is a lot. Okay, so we are going to get started. I'm going to set a timer on the screen for you to watch, and we're going to see how many of these we can get going. Okay, so I want to point out that with the server lag, you have to stop the instant you hit 1 SCU, despite whatever the status of it is. And then there's that delay, and you'll see it cleared out, but then you'll see this say 0 and that say 0. Until that says 1, if you resume, you'll be wasting material. So only, the good rule is only run your scraper when this number says 1 and this number says something less than 1. Then you're good. Here's what I'm talking about. It's actually going faster than normal. But it used to be that if you kept scraping, see that 0? If you scraped right now, you would get nothing. And now that it says 1, I can keep going. It used to be that if you kept going, it would just catch up. And you see it kind of rubber band really fast up to wherever it should be. And that was actually kind of fun. But as of late 18.0, it's not been catching up with the stuff you're scraping. And it literally just goes to nowhere. It goes to waste. So again, the rule is always when this says 1, always when this says less than 1. You're good to go. Here's a teensy little min-max tip. If you stand by that door, it won't close, and you won't have to wait for it to open when you're ready. Well, do it with your second box at least. See? Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I forgot to actually start the timer. I went ahead and threw 2 minutes on it to hopefully keep us closer to what's actually going on. But, oops, that's the whole point. So if you're counting, that took 1 minute and 15 seconds to do that run to the back. And more really, because every time I've sat back down in my seat, my lasers have not been operating privately and I've had to reset them. So lost 1 minute 30 in that process. One reason I'm looking at how long it takes me to run back is I've been soloing the reclaimer a bit lately, which people think is crazy because it's a long run to the back of a reclaimer to empty the filler stations. However, because there's 2 lasers and 2 filler stations, you can queue up 4 boxes. Now I'm sure that it takes more than twice as long to run back there and run up, and especially since there's 2 elevators involved. But I'm curious to see in the future videos what the difference actually is. Alright, I'm stopping here because I used to, especially if you've seen my first video, you know I love to just stuff as many boxes in here as I can, and I used to have good success selling it. However, lately, it's been not liking it. So, I am going to do the 13+1, which is a very safe bet. So we're going to do our Grimhex thing first. Do that for a little while. What are we, 13 minutes in? Full cargo hold, full-ish, you know, in a standard sense. But really, the approach to Grimhex and the run to the terminal where we sell, that's all it takes in terms of time, and that is not bad. It really isn't. What is annoying is remembering where to land in Grimhex, and basically think of it as the side away from the moon, Yella. So Yella's right behind us, basically, kind of to our right. And the near side is kind of the racing side, where all those NPCs and a couple players are. But we are going to go to the far side. It's still possible to miss it on the far side. And it's annoying. But if you get really close in, I mean, we are in an armistice zone right now. I don't think the guns are particularly good, though, so don't really rely on it. Oh, we were on cruise control. I thought I was in fully manual mode. That almost became a legitimate crisis. Somebody coming out. And I'm upside down. So let's fix this and go on in and hopefully not attract too much attention. Just ignore me, people. I'm not here. Push the lock button. I think it isn't locked. It's one of the things I dislike about this game is I don't actually know when it's locked or unlocked. There might be a way to find something around the panels that tells you, but I don't know. Alright, let's go sell this stuff. Yella is a very confusing station. The terminals are easy to find as long as you don't turn into the hospital.
Welcome to the ASOC Vehicle Retrieval System.
But like anything, if you get used to it enough, it's not bad. Oh, admin. There it is. I don't think it's here, but let's see. Okay, I'm going to resume the timer. Hang on. Do that. There's our 12. And then the one in the conveyor stands on its own here. Ah, this happens sometimes. You just have to reinitiate. There it is. Okay, so it is the admin. And no other place is it the admin. But here it's the admin. Alright. So, did I take a wrong turn? I think I did. I'm going to pre-spool my drive, and we'll just hit an OM really fast out the door here. Okay, so, the admin. Let's get it right this time. You take the big elevator down. This is dead simple, actually. You step out. You look for the little staircase. And then you turn to the left, and it should be the first major opening. Okay, so I was able to do 13 plus 1 twice in 56.5 minutes. Let's call it 56. So now we're going to do this exact same exercise, except we're going to run to Orison and see how it compares. We know, obviously, it's going to take more time, but it'll also pay a lot more per SCU. So let's find out. Okay, first of all, I don't know what's going on with my ship. I parked in Grim Hex, I stored it just fine, did my sail, unstored it, found it like this, tried to do a repair. It said I only had 1 AUEC of damage, and it fixed it. So I guess this is just like Grim Hex Plague that got on my ship. It works just fine, so that's pretty special. Anyway, I am at a new debris field. As I started the first test at a debris field, I will start the second test at a debris field. And we are going to do the Orison part of this test. So let's get the timer going. And one thing I'm going to try to do this time is turn my mining heads off when I need to get out of the seat. It normally does it automatically when you get out of the seat, but as you can see, I have to cycle my mining heads almost every single time because they're not working properly. So I'm going to try, if I remember, it's kind of hard to remember. If I remember, I'll try turning the mining head off before exiting my seat and see if that reduces how much I have to cycle the mining heads. That might slightly skew the test, but I'm guessing not very much. Okay, so I can already tell you at 31 minutes, this is feeling a lot slower. However, we expected it to be slower. The question is, does it pay enough better? 12 plus 1, very good. And I'm going to write down, I know what it is, but I'm going to write it down anyway. 7699 for the maths. All right, 32 minutes in, but for balance sake, we're going to do it twice, just like we did before. See where that lands us. And now it's time for Expressman's totally not made up School of Star Citizen Maths. So what did we get in the final count? Well, I had to adjust for the fact that it took a little longer to find that second field of debris. So I knocked a few minutes after that. I went and watched the video. I also added the time that I missed at the beginning of the first, the Grim Hex run. So that's all equaled out and accounted for. So what we ended up with was, in both cases, 26 boxes. That's 13 times 2. Remember, we're 12 plus 1 on 2 loads, and 13 times 2 is 26. Now, looking at my notes, at Grim Hex, we were able to sell for 6,256 UEC, which comes out to a grand total of 162,656. Now, I went ahead and divided that by the number of minutes, of course, adding the minutes that were missed, which comes out to a total of 64, which averages us out to a total AUEC of 2,541 a minute. Now, when we look at the math for the Orison run, that is 26 SCU at 7,699, substantially more than what Grim Hex pays, coming out to a total of 200,174. However, to do that, it took us 90 minutes, and because of the time it took to find the second debris field, and also the server was performance degrading throughout this entire session, so it was definitely slower than it was for my Grim Hex runs, I went ahead and gave it an extra 10-minute handicap. Even so, our total came out to 2,633. That's 2,633 a minute. Actually more than our runs to Grim Hex. However, I want to take away the handicap too, because the actual time that it took was 90 minutes, and some of that matters because there were all kinds of problems along the way. When the process is longer, there's more opportunity for bugs and glitches. I had situations where the transporters were just simply not coming. I had a situation where the TDD wouldn't read, which I feel like is a worse problem in Orison than Grim Hex. The TDD would not read the cargo, and I had to go back, and I didn't actually count this time. I had to go back, reshuffle the cargo, which meant respawning the ship, pulling the cargo out, putting the cargo back in, and then selling it. And because that happens a lot, I think it's worth calling out also the full timeline for Orison. So if we did it by 90 minutes, our AUEC a minute drops to 2,224, which is less than the Grim Hex run. So the nuanced answer is, both of these things are kind of true. Strictly speaking, the Orison run is more profitable all around. However, not by a huge margin. And I think if my own policy after doing this experiment is, as long as Grim Hex is calm, and I'm not seeing craziness going on there or seeing reports of craziness going on there in general chat, I will run to Grim Hex first. If there's any reason for me to doubt that going to Grim Hex is a good idea, I'll run to Orison. Not a big deal. Because honestly, I do run into a lot of troubles going to Orison. So that's going to be sort of my new doctrine, so to speak, from now on. And roughly my personal recommendation for players out there trying to maximize their value in a Vulture. Now, of course, having a person run the cargo for you is a better solution. This test is strictly confined to soloing in a Vulture and 12 plus 1 cargo. If you're having success selling more than 13 cargo, then by all means do the Orison run. But if, like me, you're finding that as inviting trouble, then, and you stick to the safe 12 plus 1, then popping in and out of Grim Hex really fast, I think, is the way to go. Strictly speaking, Orison's the winner, but I'd put a big old fat asterisk on that because if anything significant goes wrong, it's true of Grim Hex, but in my experience, if anything significant goes on in Orison, that your time just blows up, which means that your income per minute goes down. So that's it. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you... Oh, hey. I'll see you in the next video.